Okay, let's solve more problems sa first order differential equations with homogeneous coefficients. So again, coefficients ay homogeneous if ang lahat ng exponent ay magkakaparehas. Lahat ng bawat terms. So yung unang term natin, x squared, is of degree 2. This one is degree 2. This is also degree 2 dahil ang exponent ni x ay 1, ang exponent ni y ay 1. So 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. So, ibig sabihin, homogeneous ang coefficients. So, as per discuss, this can be converted to variable separable pag gagamit tayo ng substitution na x is equal to qy or y is equal to qx. So, again, pag kinuha natin ang derivative ng dalawa, magiging q dy plus y dq. Para naman dun sa isa, dy is equal to q dx plus x dq using derivative of a product. So again, mamimili lang tayo dito sa dalawa. It's either ito or yung ito yung pipiliin natin. So kahit alin pwede, pero syempre ang tanong, ano yung mas appropriate natin gagamitin? So let us try. So kung gagamitin natin yung x is equal to qy na mayroong derivative na q dy plus y dq, kung isa-substitute natin yung dx dito, magiging 2 terms multiplied by a 2 terms. A 2-termed expression. Dito naman, meron tayong y is equal to qx, tapos ang derivative ng y dito is 2 terms din. So, 2 terms, kapag sinubstitute natin dito, 1 term multiplied by 2 terms. So, syempre, mas madaling mag-multiply ng 1 term kesa 1 term times 2 terms kesa sa 2 terms times 2 terms. So, our substitution na gagamitin ay ito. So, using that substitution, y is equal to qx, we are to replace all the y's with qx. So, substituting, magiging x squared plus qx raised to the second power dx minus x multiplied by y, which is qx, multiplied by dy, which is q dx plus x dq is equal to 0. Then, simplifying, magiging x squared dx, distributing dx in each of term inside the parenthesis, magiging q squared x squared dx, because q raised to the second power and x raised to the second power ay q squared x squared dx minus q squared x squared dx. So, this x times qx is qx squared multiplied by q dx is q squared x squared dx if you distribute that to each term inside the parenthesis. So, magiging minus qx cubed dq is equal to 0. So, again, this is minus multiplied by plus, kaya naging minus. So, notice that yung middle terms natin ay magkapareho but of opposite signs. Combining, that cancels out. So, which gives x squared dx minus qx cubed dq is equal to 0. So, now, it is ready para sa ating variable separable. So, we can separate this variable. Ito hindi kailangan dito dahil we are integrating with respect to x. This is already integrable. So, we have to divide this by x cubed. So, pag dinivide natin both sides by x cubed, so this gives you dx over x minus that x cubed divided by the x cubed is 1, magiging q dq is equal to 0. So, dahil integrable na sila, integrate na natin. So, this gives you ln x minus 1/2 q squared using power formula is equal to ln c. So, if I'm going to transpose this 1/2 q squared on the left side of the equation and transposing this ln c on the left side of the equation, giving you ln x minus ln c is equal to 1/2 q squared. Negative ln c and positive ln c is still a constant. So, instead of writing negative, pwede rin natin siyang gawing positive. O kaya, pwede naman din tayo mag-add dito ng positive c or positive ln c pwedeng dito na hindi. So, ang mangyayari, pag transpose mo si ln c, irrespective of the sign, it is still a negative, it is still a constant. So, pwede siyang maging positive, pwede siyang maging negative. So, combining the two, magiging ln cx using our property ng logarithm that ln a plus ln b is ln of the product. So, ln ab. So, this gives you 1/2 q squared. So, cross-multiplying gives 2 ln cx is equal to q squared. So, na-cross-multiply na pala yung 2. But then again, from our substitution, y is equal to qx. So, that's our substitution kanina. That y is equal to qx. The value of q is y over x. So, the value of q is y over x. So, substituting, ilalagay natin siya doon sa y over x, magiging 2 ln cx is equal to y over x raised to the second power. So, evaluating that gives you 2 ln cx is equal to y squared over x squared. So, cross-multiplying gives y squared is equal to x squared times 2 ln cx. So, this will be the answer. So, sabi nung sa libro ni Peterson, so y squared is equal to 2x squared ln cx is the answer. So, therefore, parehas na tama ang nakuha natin. Let's take another problem from the book. So, this was taken from Elementary Differential Equations by Rainville and Bedient. So, if I'm going to distribute this in each of the term, magiging x squared y plus y cubed dx, and then this is plus 3x cubed minus 5xy squared dy is equal to 0. So, notice na lahat ng terms niyan ay of degree 3. 2, 1 is 3, 3, 3, 1 and 2, 3. So, pare-parehas siya na ng degree which is degree 3. So, homogeneous ang gagamitin natin. So, since napag-aralan natin na ang dx 2 terms times 2 terms, ito 2 terms times 2 terms. So, walang mas madali. So, kahit ano, pwedeng-pwede na. So, let us now choose muna na x is equal to vy. So, instead of q, ginawa ko ng v. Kasi pwede naman kahit na anong variable. So, dx is equal to v dy plus y dv using our derivative of a product. So, replacing x with vy, that gives you vy squared y plus y cubed v dy plus y dv for dx plus the quantity 3 vy cubed minus 5 times vy multiplied by y squared dy is equal to 0. So, simplify muna natin. That's v squared y cubed. This is v squared y squared multiplied by y is v squared y cubed plus y cubed times v dy plus y dv and close plus this is 3v cubed y cubed minus 5v y cubed dy is equal to 0. Then, distributing this using FOIL method, magiging v cubed y cubed dy. That's v squared y cubed times v dy is v cubed y cubed dy. Plus, ito tsaka yung last. So, this is v squared y to the 4th dv. Plus, vy cubed dy. This second term times first term. Then, this one and that one is plus y to the 4th dv. Plus 3v cubed y cubed dy minus 5v y cubed dy is equal to 0. Let us combine like terms kung meron. This v cube and y cube, 3v cube and y cube, pwede natin siyang pagsamahin. This vy cube dy and then negative 5vy cube dy. So let us try to combine those terms. So lagyan muna natin ng tanda. Asterisk, asterisk. Dalawang asterisk. Dalawang asterisk. So, let's combine. This v cube y cube dy with 3v cube y cube dy is 4v cube y cube dy. And then this vy cube dy minus 5vy cube dy is minus 4vy cube dy. Then plus v squared y to the fourth dv plus y to the fourth dv is equal to 0. Then factoring out, 4y cube and dy are common. So 4y cube and v quantity dy. So v cube and v is common, 4 and 4 is common, y cube and y cube common, dy and dy I common. So this gives you v squared minus 1. That v cube divided by v is v squared, and then this is actually your common factor. Plus v squared, and then you have here y to the fourth is common. That gives you v squared plus 1. dv is also common, so that is equal to 0. Then using variable separable na. So separable na siya by dividing dun sa mga hindi kailangan. So let us try to divide this all by in this dv, hindi natin kailangan si y to the fourth. So divide it by y to the fourth. With respect to y, hindi natin kailangan yung v and v squared minus 1. So that gives you v times v squared minus 1. So giving you 4 dy over y, that y cube and then y to the fourth, and that v times v squared minus 1 giving you 4 dy over y plus y to the fourth cancels out, gives you v squared plus 1 over v plus 1, v minus 1, dv is equal to 0. So since function of v, function of y, it's ready for integration. So let us try to integrate. So we have no problem here since siya naman ay integrable na. So ang gagawin natin ay i-integrate muna natin yung second term. So since gagamit tayo ng partial fractions. So for integral of v squared plus 1 over v times the quantity v plus 1 v minus 1 dv. So, ano natin siya into, so solve natin siya using partial fractions. V squared plus 1 over v, v plus 1, v minus 1. That is equal to a over v plus b over v plus 1 plus c over v minus 1. So, using partial fractions case 1, dahil ang roots natin or ang factors natin sa denominator ay linear at saka distinct. So, multiply natin siya ngayon with LCD. That's v, v plus 1, v minus 1. So, doing so gives v squared plus 1 is equal to a multiplied by v plus 1, v minus 1, plus bv, v minus 1, plus cv, v plus 1. So, to solve for the values of a, b, and c, equate natin yung first denominator to 0. If v is equal to 0, gives 0 plus 1 is 1 equals 0 squared plus 1 is 1 equals b times 0, 0, c times 0, 0. Then you can solve for the value of a. That's 1, negative 1. Then the value of a is negative 1. Next factor, equate your second denominator to 0. That is v is equal to negative 1. So if v is negative 1, Negative 1 plus 1 is 0. Negative 1 plus 1 is 0. Then A and C cancels out. You can solve for the value of B. Substituting negative 1 squared is positive 1 plus 1 is 2 equals B times the quantity negative 1. Negative 1 minus 1 is negative 2. Then B is equal to 1. Because negative 2 times negative 1 is positive 2 and then divide it by 2. So the answer there, B is equal to 1. Then lastly, equate the third denominator to 0. V is equal to 1. If V is equal to 1, substitute natin. 1 plus 1 is 2 equals 1 minus 1 cancels out. 1 minus 1 cancels out. You can solve for C. That's 1. And then 1 plus 1 is 2. So then C is equal to 2 divided by 2. That is also 1. So, therefore, this is actually equal to the value of A is negative 1. So, that's negative 1 over V plus 1 over V plus 1 plus 1 over V minus 1 dV. So, lalagay na natin siya dito. So, this what we have solved. Ilalagay natin siya doon. So, let us try to rewrite muna C, integral of dy over y, plus integral of negative 1 over v, plus 1 over v plus 1, plus 1 over v minus 1, dv is equal to integral of 0. So, let us try to integrate this. So, magiging 4 integral of dy over y, minus integral of dv over v, plus integral of dv over v plus 1, plus integral of dv over v minus 1 is equal to integral of 0. So this gives you 4 ln y minus ln v plus ln v plus 1 plus ln v minus 1 is equal to ln c. So ln of a constant is still a constant. So again, for easy na ma-simplify natin siya, pwede natin siyang lagyan ng ln. Remember, ang constant lang ang pwedeng paglaruan. So that's ln y to the fourth plus ln v plus 1 times v minus 1. Kasi di ba pagka sum, tina-times natin yung dalawa. So remember, ln a plus ln b is ln a times b. So that's why it becomes ln v plus 1 ln v minus 1 is equal to ln c. Transpose natin tong ln v na ito sa kanan para mas madali natin siyang ma-combine. So this gives you ln of y to the fourth times v squared minus 1. That's v plus 1, v minus 1 is v squared minus 1 is equal to ln cv. Again, taking the product of c and v. Then, let us try to simplify this further. So, using anti-ln, so, i-erase natin yan. Magawin natin exponent ng e, gagawin natin exponent ng e gives, because, sabi ng principle, e raised to ln of something is something. So, erase natin, gawin natin siyang exponent ni e. Then, exponent ni e magiging y to the fourth v square minus 1 is equal to cv. Y to the fourth v squared minus 1 is equal to cv. But then again, from our substitution, what we have used as our substitution is x is equal to vy. Then v is equal to x over y. So replacing that v be x over y, substitute natin yung value ng v is equal to x over y. That gives you y to the fourth quantity x over y to the second power minus 1 is equal to c x over y. Simplifying that further, that gives you y to the fourth That's x squared over y squared minus 1 is equal to cx over y. Cross multiplying gives y to the 5, and LCD of this denominator is y squared. Then that gives you x squared minus y squared is equal to cx. Then that gives you y cubed. X squared minus y squared is equal to cx. That y to the fifth and y squared cancels out, may matitirang y cubed. So this therefore ang ating general solution. But since meron tayong initial condition given that when x is 2, y is equal to 1. When x is equal to 2, y is equal to 1. So let us try to substitute. Y cubed times the quantity x squared minus y squared is equal to cx. Substitute natin. 1 cubed, 2 squared, 1 squared, c times 2. That's 1. That's 4 minus 1 is equal to c times 2. That's 3 over 2 is c. So since c is equal to 3 over 2, you have y cubed x squared minus y squared is 3 over 2x. Or cross multiplying gives 2y cubed x squared minus y squared is equal to 3x. Or, pwede natin siyang i-rewrite as 2y cubed x squared minus y squared minus 3x is equal to 0. So, kahit alin dyan, pwedeng maging sagot. So, that will be our final answer.